Hello friends, and welcome back as we continue to read Magic Treehouse. We left off on chapter 3, so where is here? Jack opened his eyes. Sunlight slanted through the window. The treehouse was still high up in a tree, but it wasn't the same tree. "Where are we?" said Annie. She and Jack looked out the window. The pteranodon was soaring through the sky. The ground was covered with ferns and tall grass. There was a winding stream and sloping hill and volcanoes in the distance. I don't know where we are," said Jack. The pteranodon glided down to the base of the tree. It landed on the ground and stood very still. "So what just happened to us?" said Annie. "Well," said Jack, "I was looking at the picture in the book, and you said, 'Wow, I wish we could go to the time of the pteranodons,'" said Annie. "Yeah, and then we saw a pteranodon in the Frog Creek Woods," said Jack. "Yeah, and then the wind got loud, and the treehouse started spinning," said Annie. "And we landed here," said Jack. "And we landed here," said Annie. "So that means," said Jack. "So that means what?" said Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. He shook his head. "None of this can be real." Annie looked out the window again. "But he's real," she said. "He's very real." Jack looked out the window with her again. The pteranodon is standing at the base of the tree like a guard. His giant wings were spread out on either side of him. "Hi," Annie shouted. "Shh," said Jack. "We're not supposed to be here." "But where is here?" said Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. "Hi, who are you?" Annie called to the pteranodon. The creature just looked up at her. "Are you nuts? He can't talk," said Jack. "But maybe the book can tell us." Jack looked down at the book. He read the words under the picture. "This flying reptile lived in the Cretaceous period. It vanished 65 million years ago with the dinosaurs." "That's impossible," said Jack. "We can't have gone to a time 65 million years ago." "Jack," said Annie, "he's nice." "Nice," said Jack. "Yeah, I can tell," said Annie. "Let's go down to him." "Go down?" said Jack. Annie started down the rope ladder. "Hey, come back," said Jack. But Annie kept going. "Annie, wait," Jack called. Annie dropped to the ground. She stepped boldly up to the ancient creature. Chapter 4. Henry. Jack gasped as Annie reached out her hand toward the pteranodon. Oh no, he thought. Annie was always trying to make friends with animals, but this was going too far. "Don't get too close to him, Annie," Jack shouted. Annie touched the pteranodon's crest. She stroked his neck. She was talking to him. What in the world is she saying? Jack wondered. He took a deep breath. Okay, he would go down too. It would be good to examine a pteranodon. He could take notes like a scientist. Jack started down the rope ladder. When he reached the ground, he was only a few feet away from the creature. The pteranodon stared at Jack. His eyes were bright and alert. "He's soft, Jack," said Annie. "He feels like Henry." Jack snorted. "He's no dog, Annie." "Feel him, Jack," said Annie. Jack didn't move. "Don't think, Jack, just do it," Annie said. Jack stepped forward. He reached out very cautiously. He brushed his hand down the creature's neck. Interesting, Jack thought. A thin layer of fuzz covered the pteranodon's skin. "Soft, huh?" said Annie. Jack reached into his backpack and pulled out a pencil and a notebook. He wrote, "Fuzzy skin." "What are you doing?" asked Annie. "Taking notes," said Jack. "We're probably the first people in the world to ever see a real live pteranodon." Jack looked at the pteranodon again. The bony crest on top of his head was no longer than Jack's arm. "I wonder how smart he is," Jack said. "Very smart," said Annie. "Don't count on it," said Jack. "His brain's probably no bigger than a bean." "No, he's very smart. I can feel it," said Annie. "I'm going to call him Henry." Jack wrote in his notebook, "Small brain, question mark?" Jack looked at the creature again. "Maybe he's a mutant," he said. The pteranodon tilted his head. Annie laughed. He's not a mutant, Jack. Well, what's he going to do here then? Where is this place? Said Jack. Annie leaned close to the pteranodon. Do you know where we are, Henry? She asked softly. The creature fixed his eyes on Annie. His long jaws were opening and closing like a giant pair of scissors. Are you trying to talk to me, Henry? Asked Annie. Forget it, Annie. Jack wrote in his notebook. Mouth like scissors. Did we come to a time long ago, Henry? Asked Annie. Is this a place from long ago? Suddenly, Annie gasped. Jack! Jack looked up. Annie was pointing toward the hill. On top stood a huge dinosaur. Chapter 5, Gold in the Grass. And this is where we're going to leave off, friends. So next time you join, we'll go ahead and finish off the book. And it's Magic Treehouse, friends. Thank you.